I'm so happy today to have Taylor Zients. I said it right.
Perfect.
Okay.
Yeah.
I was gonna, say one of the coolest last names probably I've ever seen. But thanks for coming. You are the Deputy Chief of Staff for Keith Wilson, right?
Yep. And I was his communications director on the campaign not that long ago.
Okay. I didn't realize that as well. Yeah, he was here during that, I think in May or something like that, during the campaign. And I mean, shout out to that team. That's a fantastic campaign. So, um,
Yeah. It was, yeah, we have some stories from that. It was, you know, incredible experience.
yeah, I bet. Yeah, I was gonna have like explain people like your role and what that entails in City Hall, or if people don't know.
Yeah, absolutely. It's one of those jobs. It's just a little bit different every day. So I kind of joke to friends that my job is to get crumpled up and thrown at whatever the biggest problem of the day is.
Okay.
So, but it's a lot of communications, communication strategy. It's implementing policy, just building teams to get stuff done, and overseeing constituent relations too. So if you write the mayor's office, there's a good chance that I'm going to be one of the people that writes back.
Okay. And also, I'm curious too, like what is that team? What's the size and like what does that look like?
Yeah, small team.
Okay.
It's I think about the third of the size of the previous mayor's
Okay.
office.
I was gonna ask, yeah,
So
compared to.
completely restructured. We're way leaner. I think it's about 7 people. So it's myself and a counterpart deputy chief of staff. We report to our chief of staff. We have a constituent relations person, executive assistant, and council relations. And I think we're in the final stages of hiring somebody that's going to be an immigration liaison too, because
Okay.
that's just such a critical
Yeah, I
piece of the
saw that.
puzzle right
Yeah,
now.
I saw
Yeah.
that. Okay. I didn't know that. Yeah, that's a pretty lean kind of setup. Um, yeah, I was gonna ask because it is super topical and it just happened this week. And this will timestamp the episode, but like a couple days ago that we had this federal shooting. Um, and I was just gonna do a quick recap. I might put a clip in here from the two pressers.
Earlier this afternoon, two people were shot and injured by federal agents in the Hazelwood neighborhood. Portland is not a training ground for militarized agents. We are calling on ICE to halt all operations in Portland until a full and independent investigation can take place.
These two individuals are in stable condition. They are still hospitalized. They are in custody of the federal law enforcement. They do have some nexus to involvement with TDA. We can confirm that. We know that we had a shooting in Northeast Portland in July. The woman was arrested for prostitution in Washington County, and that the male was present when a search warrant was served in Washington County.
The mayor and a bunch of local leaders did a press conference, and then yesterday, which was the day after the conference I was talking about, Portland Police Chief Bob Day did a press conference about the shooting with some more information. If I first just wanted to give you an opportunity to like say anything you wanted to say about it, do you think that press conference with the mayor kind of spoke for itself?
I hope so.
Yeah.
I mean, we really tried to take all the information that we had at that point and then get it out there. And I've been a big admirer of how Chief Day has shown up about this, given how just uh, sensitive it is,
Mhm.
especially coming right on the heels of what happened in Minnesota.
Right. Yeah. Yeah, and it's one of the reasons I was gonna, ask about it was so much information came out on that second one, and I agree. Like,
Hmm.
it's kind of a hot take, but I'm not always a Bob Day fan, but I thought he did fantastic in that press conference. He was very clear and balanced about all the information that was available. Um, but yeah, I just wanted like, did anything change from, I guess, the mayor's team perspective after that, after his Bob Day's conference?
That's a good question. I mean, we coordinate very closely. So
Yeah.
we had a really good sense of what that press conference was going to be like in the hour or so leading up to it.
Okay.
But I think that best thing that we can always do is let Chief Day be Chief Day, because
Yeah.
of how deeply he cares about the job that he does.
Hmm. Yeah. The only reason I was asking was like, I heard a lot of people after the big sort of all the local leaders say that because and I understand as a narrative, it's easy to just say, oh, this is all an ICE thing. But it turned out it was Customs Border Protection. different agency at the federal level, but I understand how a lot of people just say, well, they're all the feds.
Hmm.
So that's one of the reasons I was going to ask about it, because I heard from a lot of people online that like it's not quite the same. And also, obviously now we do know, like in Bob Day's words, that these two people were kind of at a nexus of this Aragua gang stuff. Um, but obviously, even as we're talking now, it's still pretty early. And so, yeah, I just wanted to, if there's anything else you want to say about it. Otherwise, we can kind of move on to some other
Absolutely.
stuff. Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, we may learn more
Hmm.
by the time Monday, Tuesday rolls around when this actually airs.
Yeah.
So, but I think that the mayor's been really clear that he wants to see an investigation as the next step here.
Yeah.
It's, we need to know what happened.
Yeah. And I would say too, like I am happy with, like, at all levels of that. Like I heard from the DA's office and
Mhm.
Portland Police, they're all just like, we just want to know everything that's happening and really get a clear idea of what happened. And I was going to ask too, sort of along those lines, and this is totally okay if you weren't there, but ever since last year, the mayor had this meeting with Kristi Noem here. I was just, because Keith was here, I'm like, I could not picture that meeting. I was just curious, like, were you there for that?
Yeah, I
You
was
were
I
there.
was in
Okay.
that room.
Okay.
It was surreal. So a lot of this ended up captured, and he did a Newsweek editorial about
Okay. Yeah.
what that experience was like meeting with Homeland Security Director Kristi Noem. Uh, Speaking purely from my perspective, there was an element of it that was just surreal.
Yeah.
It's we see that facility from the outside all over cable news, and we have for a long time at this point. I
Yeah.
mean,
Yeah.
people in other cities can recognize it.
It's just like a
Uh,
box on the
yeah.
corner that we've seen a lot. Yeah.
So there's been some conservative influencers that have gotten on the inside and have very kind of a selective view of what that looks like, that shows it in its most positive light. It's you know, it was it was a hot day. It was even hotter on the inside.
Hmm.
HVAC system was broken,
Hmm.
and
At City Hall, or where was it?
at the ice facility.
Oh, it was there.
That's
Okay.
where we
Okay.
took that meeting. But there was, a lot of signs of strain.
Yeah.
We had dumpsters that were overflowing. Yes, there was a lot of just kind of, body armor lying out, just crowded
Wow.
too,
Yeah. Yeah.
with people and vehicles. It was, the meeting itself was, cordial, tense. It's nothing that we haven't already kind of come out with publicly
Yeah.
before.
Yeah.
But it was interesting seeing these folks that you've seen on Fox News
Right. Right.
in person. And we had that kind of underlying curiosity of what are these people going to be like in person,
Right.
right?
Sort of
Because
when the cable news is off or whatever.
exactly, there's no cameras,
Yeah.
right? Well, there was a
Like a still
Homeland Security photographer that was running
photographer.
around taking photos, but there
Yeah.
was no video of this, right? So, you've met Mayor Wilson.
Hmm.
You've probably seen him behind the scenes enough, so debates and whatnot during the campaign.
Hmm.
He is exactly the same guy.
Yeah. That's why I wanted to ask about it, because
Yeah,
I just like cannot imagine that. And the two personalities are so
yeah,
vastly different.
absolutely.
Yeah.
So it's like, okay, well, is Homeland Security Director Kristi Noem and Corey Lewandowski, are they going to be the same people as they are in front of the cameras behind the scenes?
Right.
Right? Just very polished talking points, a certain tone, very aggressive, and yeah, that's exactly how we found him behind the scenes too. I think that the underlying hope was that we could maybe find some level of common ground about things that we care about. It's like we care about people staying safe, and we would presume that the administration would have the same feelings about their workforce and the surrounding community.
Hmm.
Um, it was, to a certain extent, people talking past each other.
Hmm.
Mayor Wilson is very clear with what his priorities are, which are keeping people safe. And I think that I think the way he showed up was probably very frustrating to the administration,
Yeah.
because he is exactly the same guy as he is about everything.
Right.
Um,
And I was thinking too, I would always think it's got to be challenging for local leaders, because we're bound by state law. We're a sanctuary state.
Yeah.
and also city, I believe. So it's like
Mhm.
that's just how it is, and the federal government has a
Yeah.
very different perspective on that. But that's just
Yeah.
I can imagine that being a tension in the meeting as well. But
Absolutely.
yeah,
So I walked away from it with with the feeling that we're operating under two completely different sets of incentives, right? Mayor Wilson and Chief Day are responsible to the community and to the laws that we're here to uphold. That's
yeah,
that is our incentive as in those with
right,
those two
right,
leaders.
yeah,
To a certain extent, it was really clear that the director and her senior advisor have an audience of one. And they are either going to please this audience of one, or they're going to disappoint this audience of one. And that's a much more narrow set of incentives.
hmm,
In retrospect, it seems pretty clear that they were setting this all up for a big press conference in the following day with conservative influencers and a lot of, a lot of misinformation, a lot of half truths. I don't think that have really at this point survived the light of day, and certainly not the court system.
hmm,
But yeah, I don't know. I mean, to a certain extent, maybe I'm still trying to make sense of what that experience was
yeah,
like. It's
yeah,
just, it's just, you see these people on TV all the time, and then you're in a room with them.
yeah, yeah.
What are they going to be like, right?
Yeah. Yeah, no, that's I was just totally curious because like I said, they're just the total opposite ends of the spectrum and I just couldn't imagine that meeting. But that sounds
Yeah,
like it the only way it could happen, it sounds like.
yeah. It was just like, it was like,
And yeah, no, I was gonna say I am glad that it happened because like I'm always down for people to have a meeting and talk and
yeah.
is even if it is awkward and there's a lot of tension like that. But
Absolutely. I mean,
yeah.
our perspective on, any opponent is usually it's say, hey, this is a friend we haven't made yet, right?
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
But not that we're looking for fishing for friends in the
Yeah.
administration, because we're really not.
Right, right, yeah.
But, we're not just reflexively adversarial
Yeah,
either. It's
right,
like,
right.
can we not find any shared worldview, any
Yeah.
shared priorities here, right? It's like,
Mm-hmm.
because we have some pretty basic ones that are at the heart of what we're trying to accomplish.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and I'll say that's been my experience with Keith too, is like he's just he's not combative and he will talk to anybody and try to find common ground. So
Yeah.
okay. Um let's see. Yeah, I wanted to move into the homelessness stuff, shelter. I know that, there was this kind of big debate conversation about like some people felt like Keith had made this goal to eliminate homelessness by the end of last year. Which I guess to me it wasn't that wasn't what I kind of interpreted or heard, but for some people that's what they felt and they felt like, well, he kind of missed the mark. But I was going to say, from my perspective, even the year goal that the certain amount of shelter beds, that itself was an enormous effort. Um, and I was just going to say congrats on all that work and I think a lot of the kind of cooperation with like City Team and a lot of these places downtown it's really changed a lot of kind of that area downtown, and I think for the better,
Hmm.
it seems like.
Yeah.
So, but I was just curious if you want to talk about that, the goal, what that felt like getting there, and kind of where we're at now with
Yeah.
the shelter part of it. Um,
Yeah,
yeah,
yeah, absolutely. It's kind of funny that it's the culture of our office to never really be 100% satisfied with anything.
yeah, yeah, yeah,
And we don't do a whole lot of like victory laps,
yeah,
even when we stick the landing on something that really, really matters to us. It's we're trying to, I think, train ourselves a bit to pause and make sure that people that actually did the work to make these things happen feel like they're seen and congratulated and appreciated. Yeah. So yeah, one of the reasons I'm glad that we're talking about this is that Portland has a bit of a tendency to get stuck at the 101 level of homelessness discourse. So um, we'll get really, really trapped if it's like, well, it's 1,500 beds, but some of them aren't set up unless they're needed, right? So does it count? Does it not count? Utilization rates will sometimes fluctuate, right? Especially in the warmer months or when people are getting used to it or it's brand new. It's like, well, does that mean that they failed,
right, right,
right? And if we were to really back up here too, that 1,500 beds is just the tip of the iceberg of what we have been relentlessly working towards across the entire system. So it's things like reunification, rapid exit mindset, so that people have an expectation that they are going to go through a series of steps with people that are there to help them with important things as part of their time within these systems. So, yeah, the 1,500 beds was a big deal. Uh, there were some times, especially over the summer, where we thought that, well, where I was struggling to see how we were going to do this. It's we had to work against a lot of past broken promises,
Mm.
where we had to build trust from scratch. Um, and my mark of accomplishment on that is like how can you tell if you're being successful with that or not is, can someone who disagrees with every single thing you're doing still trust you,
Mm. Mm.
right?
Mm.
Still take you at your word.
Yeah.
That's what we were shooting for, even with those that were very against what we were trying to
Mm.
do. So I mean, you can look around, you can see that the work remains. It's it's think that we are on track when you look at what the cities that have been successful in this process are at this stage. No city has ever eliminated homelessness without eliminating unsheltered homelessness first,
Right.
too, which is why that is the kind of the tip of the spear for what we're trying to accomplish. I think that you're not just seeing the difference on the streets here too, seeing fewer RVs and knowing that the people that are in RVs get good options
Mm-hmm.
for what's a safer, sustainable way of living. Fewer tents, right? Far fewer tents in a lot of the core areas of the city that are our economic heart.
Mm-hmm.
And knowing that those people are not just getting pushed from place to place, but have good options for the next step in their journey. Um, that's also getting reflected in things like foot traffic,
Mm-hmm.
too. Even when we're just a couple months into this process,
Right.
we're already starting to see like big spikes in downtown activity and people coming down for the holidays and
Yeah.
having
Yeah.
wonderful experiences
I was gonna
in the
say, yeah,
heart of our city.
I saw that, yeah, that there was some metric on during the holiday of foot traffic was that it spiked during that time. So it's good to see.
Yeah,
Yeah.
but it's even that it's not like, hey, spike back to baseline. That's a green shoot that we expect to grow, right? It's because when people are coming down, they're looking around and saying like, hey,
Right.
this is a place where I want to bring my family. This is a place where I want to tell my relatives to come visit me.
Mm-hmm.
It's, yeah, we're just trying to get that snowball rolling, right?
Yeah. 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 And I was gonna say it is, you know, I'm impressed with, your guys' team because there's oftentimes like the thing we'll talk about in a second, the 120-day thing, but there's like been some really, I would say, challenged pieces of policy that are hard to sell politically, and I think that they're necessary to kind of help the folks that are living on the streets, but also help the city. And I think there's some people who don't think that those are good ideas. But yeah, I was gonna say like the RV sort of I don't know what you want to call it, like there's some sort of payment required to get your RV back. What is
Yeah.
that program called? I forget what that's
Yeah,
or
it's no, it's if an RV is towed
yeah.
and you want to get it back, it's you're going to be responsible for the towing fees, which are not actually all that much for it's very the city's not making money off this
Yeah,
thing
yeah, yeah.
and storage, and you have to show that you're a responsible road user too. It's like you do need a license and you need proof that you actually own that RV,
Mm-hmm.
and you need to have insurance on it so that there's a level of shared responsibility with the
Right.
surrounding community.
Liability and because yeah, it
Yeah,
is an enormous vehicle, and I was just
yeah,
pointing to that as an example of stuff like that, and also the 120 thing, which we'll talk about. But like it just I think a lot of other electeds would just avoid policies like that, but it's
Hmm.
like I said, I think those are necessary to help the folks living in the RVs, which are oftentimes like horrible conditions to
Yeah.
be living in, and also helping the city as a whole. Obviously, the people living around all that stuff is really hard for them as well. So, but yeah, I just think that there's been a consistent, pattern of doing the necessary kind of policy implementations, and I just wanted to shout that out.
Yeah, I appreciate it a lot. You're right. It's lift. It's very easy to introduce kind of a poison pill to these types of policy changes. From
Yeah.
the outside, sometimes RVs look, relatively orderly,
Hmm.
right? But what we know from an evidence standpoint is that the city of Portland has no black water facilities,
Hmm.
right? There are no
I actually
hookups
didn't
of
know that.
any
Yeah,
kind. You have
yeah.
to go to Tigard,
So you got to
and
start thinking about where all that stuff is
yeah,
going.
which was
Um,
directly into the watershed.
yeah.
If it's built before 1987, there's a high likelihood that it has asbestos parts,
Mm,
which makes decommissioning just a nightmare. Um, and on top of that, it's like the level of fire danger
mm-hmm,
that these pose, mold danger.
mm-hmm.
It's, it may not look like that from the outside, but if you go to where we keep these and stick your head in, which I have, it's a really, really dangerous way to live.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and I've also said the same thing about tents. Like I think a lot of people feel like it's an easy, kind of quick solution for folks living on the streets. But same thing, I've heard over the years that it's a common place for fires to happen.
Yeah,
And obviously, if you have a indoor shelter option, that seems like one of those is a much better option and a place to connect with other services and all that stuff.
yeah,
So
absolutely. We have just not seen any evidence whatsoever that tents are a source of safety or stability. It's
right, right.
just it's just not reflected in any metric that we've ever seen.
And even, I think a lot of opponents would bring up, some people say, shelters are kind of a hotbed of crime, but I would point to the opposite. Like between the two options, like tents on the street also are kind of a nexus of crime, obviously, because there's less people, there's less like chaperoning and monitoring. And so, anyway,
Yeah,
yeah.
yeah. There's a difference if you are going to behave in a violent way in a shelter, you will immediately have law enforcement called.
Hmm.
That's not what happens on the street.
Right, right,
There's a lot of silence and there's a lot of violence that just never comes to light.
right.
Never. It's
Probably
it's
unreported.
absolutely.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And also just, especially during this time of year, it's obviously way colder to
Hmm.
be outdoors in that environment.
Yeah. And there's, not every shelter is right for every person,
Mhm.
right? We take a deeply trauma informed approach to this, and we try to work with the individuals wherever we can. And we actually we run a lot of those 24/7 pod style
Mhm.
shelters too, which are for individuals or couples. So there's options, right? It's just it's again stuck at that 101 level
Right,
where
right.
it's just we have to kind of get past that.
Yeah, and I was gonna say earlier when you were talking about the first year, it does seem like, as far as a term as well, this is like year one, and
Hmm.
it does seem like for everything that I know about this issue nationwide and on the West Coast and whatever, yeah, like shelter is the first thing to address because then you can kind of connect people with everything else that they need. I know that a lot of people have different issues. Some of it's, like you said, trauma, some of it's mental illness, some of it's addiction. So whatever assistance people need,
Hmm.
I think shelter is kind of the first step of that triaging, from what I
Yeah,
know. But I was gonna ask in the same vein about this 120-day limit thing. There was some press about it this week, but we were just talking before recording. I guess this has been in the works for a long time as part of this kind of longer term plan, it sounds like.
absolutely.
And can you
Yeah.
just explain that for people real quick, the what the
Yeah.
policy is and yeah.
Yeah. Okay. So, stay limits or engagement requirements. Has been a kind of a pillar of Mayor Wilson's homelessness planning going back to the campaign. We've been very upfront about it. Spoke about it extensively over last summer with the providers that would be impacted
Okay.
and the individuals that would be impacted.
The shelters or
Hmm.
whatever facilities or yeah.
Absolutely. So that was like flyers, community meetings, reaching out to people on a one-on-one basis and asking them to talk to us. Um, and what that looks like is we're really just asking to have a conversation. And it's not just about housing exclusively.
Hmm.
No one is ever going to be exited because of a 120-day limit because they're on a waiting list for housing, for
Hmm.
instance,
Hmm.
or because housing took too long to come together, or if something fell apart. That is not what we're here to do.
So
But
if somebody's making a good faith effort in that process,
yeah, and
you're
even like
never gonna exclude them. Or,
good
yeah.
faith on an individualized basis,
Right.
right?
Right.
Some people
Tailored
arrive
to
at these
them.
shelters ready for their next step, right?
Hmm.
It's they want to work it, they want to get these things figured out and go on to their next step.
Yeah.
Some people are going to have barriers, but we can't understand what those barriers are unless they talk to us.
Hmm.
And these are things like, hey, do you have veterans benefits that you haven't claimed? Do you have social security benefits or SNAP food benefits? Like, when was the last time that you went to a dentist?
Hmm.
Would it be easier to fill out an application for something if you went to the vision doctor and got a pair of glasses that you need? Things like that,
Hmm.
right?
Hmm.
It's that those are the types of conversations and steps that we're asking people to go through
Could it even?
at their own pace
Yeah. Yeah.
too.
I was gonna say, could it even be as basic as like? Because I've heard over the years, I had this conversation once when I did a podcast with Betsy Johnson and Alan from Bybee
Yeah, Baby
Lakes,
Lakes. Yeah.
um, about like the whole just getting ID. Could it be
Hmm.
as basic as that of just like,
Yes.
hey, we're gonna help you get some identification?
Hmm. Birth certificate, identification,
Yeah.
just the things that will help you with these different steps. And if someone is in severe mental illness or they have something else that they have going on, um, they're we're not going to exit them because of those reasons too.
Okay.
It's
Yeah.
it's and yeah, and even when somebody is exited, they're exited with good options.
Yeah.
They can go to a county shelter that might not have these requirements. They can go to a private shelter that may not have these requirements. We've gotten a very seasoned overnight shelter and day center system at this point with day storage and things like that. So if anybody ends up exited to the streets, it is despite every possible effort that we have made on our part.
Right. And some people might say it's kind of that would be that an individual saying, I'm not gonna take the offer of these available services
Yeah,
in this policy.
yeah. I mean, we've got some, there are going to probably be some people that make that choice.
Yeah.
What we hope is that at least some folks will instead choose to appeal and just start these conversations.
Yeah, because that's what I was saying. It just seemed like I'm supportive of this just because it does seem like it's kind of entirely focused on this carrot and
Mm,
stick approach. If we're going to help you as an individual, and that also in turn helps the city, like we kind of talked about a little bit earlier, because
yeah,
the more individuals that are kind of helped in this process, the less everybody sees this issue and
yeah,
is impacted by this issue. So
absolutely. And when we get stuck on the one-on-one level of this, 120 days and someone exits, it becomes very easy for people to kind of fill in the gaps that people have with, you're just going to exit people to the streets, or that means your process isn't good enough, or I think at the end of the day, Portlanders really, really want to do the right thing.
mhm.
We are willing as a community to pay more taxes and in some cases to go through more grief in order to feel like we are doing the right thing. So it's become very easy to introduce like doubt or ulterior motives or
Mm-hmm.
what have you into what we're trying to do here.
Yeah.
It's very kind of fertile ground for that kind of stuff. So All we can do is just, hey, patient, consistent, try to make sure that as much information is out there as we can possibly get. Ask people to talk about this issue in good faith. Not everybody will,
Hmm.
but just do our part to, do the right thing with this.
Yeah. And, I don't think anybody can deny that um, some people might call it like a single issue kind of elected or campaign, but I mean, it's been Keith's entire focus since I've met him,
Yeah.
is this issue. And it definitely seems like that's what the team is. All this stuff is in support of that, right? And it's hard to deny that.
Yeah. I mean, you have to go first to the thing that's harming the community the most, right?
Mhm,
It's when
mhm.
when you have, like, in 2023, we had 456 domicile unknown deaths on our street.
Right, right,
If this was happening in, I mean, you have to treat that like an emergency.
right.
And my fear, when the numbers dip by, I think, about 100 between 2023 and 2024, and that's viewed as progress, that's a normalization process, as opposed to running around waving a flag saying, we cannot do this. We
Hmm.
can't allow this to become something that's just what happens in
Right,
Portland.
right. Part of the fabric of the city or whatever.
So,
Yeah. Well, and I was gonna say too, kind of amazing to me just because, I mean, I've talked about it so much on the show, but like if you were to strictly look at this from a jurisdictional thing, a lot of this responsibility is with the county, but it seems like, from my perspective, it's just the city has kind of taken this because the county hasn't really historically pulled its weight as far as this issue. Maybe they're doing better now. There are some things I think they're doing better now at the county, but I just think in spite of kind of a lagging county effort, it's amazing to see the city doing all this. And I know there's cooperation between them now,
yeah,
probably,
yeah,
but it's just kind of a Herculean effort that it gets to a point where it's like somebody has to do something about this.
yeah.
Um,
So, I mean, we're new, but the city and
yeah,
the county have history.
yeah,
So I think it took some time to overcome some of the initial gaps in trust. And we're still not going to see eye to eye on everything.
right.
I think that, it's oftentimes what we care about is like, what's the trajectory look like? I think the trajectory is aimed towards, like, more trust and more collaboration, and increasingly shared objectives on
Hmm.
this. I'm sure that we're going to have some disagreements
Hmm.
along the way here too, but I think it's also hard to look at the fact that these shelters are saving lives and bringing about, a revitalization of livability and all that follows that, and say, oh no, we're going to drop that effort. That's not bearing fruit, right? It benefits us, it benefits them, it benefits, there's a shared moral calling to
Hmm.
this.
Hmm.
So, I think we're heading in the right direction.
Okay. Yeah, I was say, you feel like the city county relationships, to me, it seems like it's in a better spot. You think it's in a better spot than it was a
Than it
year
was a year
ago,
ago?
or yeah,
Absolutely.
yeah, okay,
Yeah.
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 Um, is there more that you'd like to see them doing, or I mean, I guess there's probably always more than,
Yeah, I mean, I think we're in a situation now where, I mean, we want to do more, they want to do more.
yeah,
It is a resource constrained environment. We're going to go to a tough budget.
right, right,
So let's continue to work on what that looks like.
yeah,
It's a lot of it is too, it's the boring stuff. It's just, we have existing systems. Let's just make sure they talk to each other better. We're working with each other better. Like, if we're doing something that's really successful, we want them to take advantage of it. If they're doing something really successful, we want in. We want to be able to coordinate with that too.
yeah. There's a couple more questions about this. What I wrote on here is, I think I don't know at what point this happened this week, but when I was reading about the 120-day policy thing, I hear this criticism a lot from people who attack the kind of congregate shelter model, who just seem to think we can wave a magic wand and just provide a new single family home for everyone who would like one. Um, it's not really how housing works, but I was going to ask about like how how that kind of criticism fits in with this story that came out in the past 3 months or so, that there's like 1,000 available affordable homes. Um, and how does that fit in also, just, I guess that'd be Portland Housing Bureau. How does their affordable housing fit in with this like transition from shelter and stuff like that?
Yeah,
Yeah,
yeah, absolutely. So I'm going to be a little bit limited in what I can talk about with this with right now,
sure.
but we're setting another December 1st deadline
Okay, okay.
too. And housing is going to be at the absolute core of that. I mean, we follow all the same stories as the rest of the community. We know about that there's vacancies that are past the types of, best practices and standards that everybody wants to see.
Mm-hmm.
We think that there's opportunities to unlock that and other forms of housing stock. There's been a really successful program piloted in Atlanta that's now spread to many states that we're working on here with
Okay,
the pad split home share style activation of existing housing
okay,
stock.
okay.
So it's it can be a little tough to talk about this stuff because people have a little bit of a tendency to jump to some conclusions of like, oh, is this going directly from a tent or RV to somebody's room, right?
Right, right,
In
right.
somebody's house. It's
Yeah.
like, well, let's kind of hold on. We know that we see a lot of big issues, but we're also talking about a lot of individual journeys here too,
Mm-hmm.
right?
Mm-hmm.
Which are going to take different paths.
Yeah, and kind of like you mentioned earlier, people that I don't know, as far as like low hanging fruit with this issue, that's what it seemed like. If there's anyone ready right now who's unsheltered, living on the streets, that's kind of what you're talking about, like addressing those folks first. Is
Yeah.
that kind of what you
Well,
mean?
I
Yeah.
mean, you know, I wouldn't say like first in the sense of like we're going to prioritize different groups of people
Yeah.
based on maybe housing readiness alone, but trying to get to the point where we can just increasingly work with people according to the needs and barriers that they have at that
Yeah.
moment.
Kind of a more holistic
E-
approach of like, we're going to help you as
Exactly.
an individual on every level. It's not just the housing component. Like if you've got
Hmm.
trauma or mental health issues, it's all
Yeah.
part of that process. And
Yeah.
is that kind of, yeah.
You've even already seen this in our overnight shelter system. There are some for women, which because that's a set of folks with some unique needs.
Right.
There's resources for families. If somebody is is in recovery, they're probably going to want to have an environment that reflects that journey that
Right,
they're
right,
on. So
right.
now we have recovery oriented shelters. So yeah, it's we congregate shelter has a bit of a tendency to give this one size fits all impression, and that's just not the reality of what we're doing.
Yeah. Well, it also seems like just historically and what we know with like places that have solved this in a sort of virtual, like they've tackled it in every imaginable way. It seems like this is the way to do it, right?
Hmm.
From what I've heard and seen,
Yeah,
is you kind of tackle this component first, address all the individual needs, kind of like what we've been talking about.
yeah, yeah, absolutely. And I mean, Mayor Wilson spent years, literal years, like going from city to city,
Right, right.
both in the United States and outside the United
Yeah.
States, grabbing any expert that would talk to him to get a really big sense of what the big picture looks like and who had strategies that work.
Hmm.
And a lot of those folks, it's former mayors from other cities. I mean, they are frequently called upon as resources as we kind of take this step by step.
Yeah. I think that is helpful, yeah, to know too, because I think even like having the outside the US perspective, some people might say, well, it doesn't really matter, but I think it gives additional context to like what we can do here in the US where we're bound
Yeah.
by state, federal laws with a lot of this stuff.
Hmm.
It just helps have a better overall understanding of like how to address the whole problem,
Yeah.
right?
It's a little we try not to there's a bit of a tendency to say, "Oh, X city has the answer."
Hmm.
Right?
Hmm.
And you go there and you just grab what they have and
Right.
you try to transplant that here. I think that we are not trying to do that. Portland has a mix of issues. We can steal more broadly than
Yeah.
that.
Okay. Um, yeah, I was gonna ask too, real quick, about just the general approach to housing. I don't know, I can't think of one thing I would disagree with as far as like doing what we can do to boost housing supply here in Portland. I think, I don't know. I just want, like, is there anything you want to say about that and the approach that the mayor's team's
Yeah,
taking?
no, absolutely. So yeah, we will definitely be releasing a goal here for coming up for December 1st. It's going to be one of those, classic, specific and measurable and actionable and time
Yeah.
bound and so forth. But I think that increasingly a lot of the underlying guts of what we need are in place. Things like system development charges being waived, which were a big upfront payment before you went into a project. Permitting reform is well underway. We've got counselors that have introduced individual pieces of legislation that are really promising in their ability to streamline and unlock and so forth. I think to a certain extent, the we're also in a different national environment. Some of these materials and labor cost a lot more than they used to.
Hmm.
And I think that investment of this type tends to be a bit of it lags sometimes the problems that need to be solved to get there.
Yeah.
So, I think that that perception is going to start to change too. I think it's already changing.
As far as, you
So,
mean, kind of a reputation
yeah,
in
it's
Portland?
reputational.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's really what I'm getting at.
Yeah.
Portland has really slipped
Hmm.
in national rankings of investment attractiveness,
Hmm.
right?
Hmm.
So, I think increasingly that ranking no longer reflects the type of environment that we have, which is increasingly safer and easier and more livable and more attractive. But one of the this is a silver lining, right?
Hmm. Yeah. Yeah.
So one of the good things it's about we have a potential to really jump from where we're at right now in terms of the rankings, right? It's because it's just back to getting the basics right.
Hmm.
So I don't think that we're going to be stuck towards the bottom in a year or two.
Yeah. No, and I mean, I completely agree with you as far as like, it's hard to explain to people, especially with housing, but I would also say economically, with a city level economy,
Hmm.
how long that stuff takes to really shift, and especially when you have a reputation like that, that's it's arguably at the bottom. And yeah, it takes a super long time because it's a gigantic problem, but also uh, it's kind of a segue into like business stuff. I have said this a lot of different times. I don't know, like, I feel really good that somebody like Keith is at the helm of this stuff, because I don't know many business leaders in the city, like, at all, who have business experience,
Hmm. Yeah.
and who I would trust as far as revitalizing an economy
Hmm.
at the city level. It just seems like that's a really good person to be doing that. Yeah, there was something I was going to ask, but yeah, I have a bunch of like business questions, and the first thing I was going to ask was, I was really supportive. I saw this. Keith wanted to double the size of the business tax exemption in
Yeah.
Portland, and I'm supportive of that. I actually wrote down here, I would like to see it eliminated entirely. I had Eric Fruits on here, he's an economist who comes on a lot, and he was saying, you'd probably know better, but he was saying, it doesn't actually bring a lot of money in for the city, these business
Mm-hmm.
taxes. But I'm just curious if you want to speak to that and like how that effort's going. What would that need? Would that need a council vote to implement that, or is that
Yeah.
something that?
Oh, that's a good question. So I know that this is one of the things that's on the list of things we're working on. I haven't been tracking the specific one too closely. Um, but it just I think that there's just an opportunity to do a lot of different smaller things.
Yeah.
It's we don't need not every single thing that we do needs to be a swing for the fences.
Hmm.
A lot of this I think is going to be just, doing things that make sense.
Hmm.
And collectively that's going to add up.
Yeah, are there any other business related things that are sort of on the horizon? Um, like when you were saying earlier, I kind of like this idea of like, it seems like you guys are taking this like a year at a time and saying, hey, this year, whether it's with homelessness or business or
Hmm.
anything, we're going to have clear goals at the end of the year that we're going to try to meet. Um, but is there anything on the horizon business wise
Yeah,
that
yeah, absolutely. So
you
I
can talk
can't,
about?
yeah, I can't get too far ahead of this,
Yeah.
but I think that Portland has a real identity of how it wants to show up in the business world.
Mm.
And that's not going to be just like, hey, the bigger the better, or, anything goes. If they come here, we're happy. That's and that's it. That's as far as the conversation goes. I think that when we look at what our workforce does in the creative sector, in the technological sector, and especially the green sector, the green
Mm.
economy, there are some really extraordinary opportunities to grow there, in especially.
Okay.
So
Yeah.
because we just have all of the elements that would make something like that successful.
Yeah. It does seem like, those are core parts of Portland's identity as far as
Hmm.
business. And I would almost say, because like for years I worked in the creative industry and the TV industry here in Portland, but a long time we still do kind of have this footwear identity with
Hmm.
Adidas and Nike. Um, it does seem like we've kind of lost some of that identity, so it's good. That focus of what you just described seems pretty spot on as far as like if you were to characterize Portland in terms of business.
Yeah, yeah,
So that seems like a good sectors to focus on as far as what we're really good at here as a
yeah.
city.
No, I'm excited for footwear too. It's some of the collectors market I think went through a bit of a correction,
Yeah,
which is um, but I mean Nike. They just reopened the flagship store downtown.
yeah.
It is phenomenal. Um,
I'll have to check it out. I haven't been
yeah,
because I remember going. Is that I believe back that I don't know if they still call it Nike Town, but I remember going
hmm,
like in the '90s when they opened that or one of them downtown. I don't know if
yeah.
it's the same one, but and they they had like back when they had like non-flat TVs, like tube TVs. They were
Oh
like
yeah,
you could like walk on this glass thing that was like TVs everywhere. It was one of the coolest experiences I can still remember when I was like 7 years old. But I'll have to check that out and
you
go
gotta
see.
go back. It just opened. It's gorgeous. You see people walking out with stacks of boxes.
Yeah,
You know,
yeah.
it really feels like they're doubling down
That's
on
cool. Yeah, I
yeah.
would love to see too, like more apparel and stuff like that because I've talked a lot about it on here, and I know it's not in Portland technically, but everyone always brings up Intel and sort of the loss of this
Hmm.
like Silicon Forest stuff. I mean, that would be cool to bring back too, but I think if that stuff is going to other places, we can kind of reinforce the creative and the
Yeah,
apparel and the footwear and software, whatever else we do.
yeah, yeah, absolutely. I mean, yeah, it's true. It's Portland's gotten kind of nailed by some things outside of our control.
Yeah,
With this, it's Intel to a certain extent missed out on some really big movements, but it's these things also happen. Like you take a look at Facebook, and they went all in on the metaverse and
right.
spent billions, and it all kind
Didn't
of
really pay off.
ended up with like 600 users or
Yeah,
something like I
yeah,
don't remember, but uh, it didn't take long for them to pivot back and come back even stronger, right? Because
mm-hmm.
all of the elements that made them successful were still there.
Yeah.
So, you know, sometimes some of our big anchor corporations are going to go through, some corrections.
Yeah. Yeah, and that's like there's a whole I don't know. I don't know if people know this, but I mean when I was in high school ran the computer club. I have this whole background of like IT sort of, but if people I'm sure if you're listening and you followed this like Intel is in that industry has been kind of lo- deranked by these other
Hmm.
companies. So there's a whole other like story to that as well of like AMD and Nvidia kind of taking their lunch, so to speak. And so
Yeah,
it's not
but
necessarily like a locally caused
hmm
entirely. So anyway,
but there comes a point where it's like investors say, "Hey, Intel's probably been punished enough."
yeah.
So, and then it's a good buy, and it's a chance to
Right,
grow
right.
again.
Yeah.
Yeah,
It's cheap again and
yeah.
people invest and um okay, let me see if there's any other business stuff. that I was going to ask about. I mean, I was going to ask sort of along these lines. I did this whole recent economy episode, and like I just find it fascinating because I work in Clackamas County now, and I was looking at Oregon's employment data recently, and Multnomah. This is what I heard from economists and just from what looking at graphs and stuff. Multnomah County is like dragging this, and it's kind of what we were just talking about. When you
Mm-hmm.
have these mass
Mm-hmm.
layoffs, it affects it for sure. And I guess even Intel, that would be Washington County probably, but I'm always just like, why is this? To me, I point the finger at the county and some of their high tax things like preschool for all, but
Mm-hmm.
I'm just curious, like from your perspective and the mayor's team perspective, what can we do about helping Multnomah County's economic and employment situation? Because it seems like they're just dragging a lot of the state down. Um, but maybe it's a lot of the stuff we just talked about. I don't know.
Yeah, yeah. I mean, I think that what we're going to be most focused on is doing things right,
Yeah.
getting just like the day-to-day
Mm-hmm.
stuff right, and trying to use that to tell a larger story
Yeah.
too. It's kind of funny. It's never really um there's no such thing as like a single source of success. There's no such thing as a single source of or a single point of failure when you're talking about something that's this intricate,
Mm-hmm.
right?
Mm-hmm.
So we're gonna be doing our part on this.
Yeah, it does seem too like, a lot of the stuff we've talked about is when you create this environment that's highly livable for everybody, whether
Hmm.
they are homeless, unsheltered, or they've been housed forever. To me, I don't know, I'm always just focused on economy, but it seems like that's the key to creating an appealing environment for
Yeah.
people to
Yeah.
move or people to retain or
Yes.
people to thrive. So it seems like that's kind of the focus of,
Yeah, and I don't want to just kind of speak in like super high level about this. This is something
yeah,
that we care about immensely.
yeah,
So, we're not going to be the people that say, "Oh, this is such a beautiful, livable place." When it comes to a job, just I don't know, figure it out, right? Or
right,
work
right.
for another state and telecommute, or what have you, right? It's a privilege to be here, and we don't care about the level of career opportunity that you have here.
Hmm. Hmm.
That's just not the attitude that we bring. I've hunted for jobs in Portland. I've gotten frustrated with a job hunt in Portland and stopped looking in Portland and
Hmm.
decided, well, you know what? Until there's more opportunity here, I'm going to telecommute because Florida pays more, California pays more, or wherever else that, whatever other company that I'm telecommuting to is going to just do better than what our local opportunities are. So, I don't think that that's something that on a long-term basis that we want, right?
Yeah.
If we have incredible college systems in regionally.
Hmm.
We should be able to keep those folks,
Yeah.
right? We want Portland to be somewhere where if you get a degree and you've spent that time or you've got a trade, that this is a compelling place where you can get a house and you can get your foothold and you can get your career started. You can stay here with your career
Hmm.
too. So,
Yeah, and even the family stuff too. I talk a lot about here about the school systems, and
yeah.
if you want to eventually have kids, I know that the demographics here are a little weird because people just nationally and also but here
Mhm.
locally aren't really having kids as much, but just creating an environment that really fosters
Yeah,
a life that encompasses all that stuff. And
absolutely. And I've heard people say that, like, I've gotten like, Facebook comments or people writing me emails and things like that. It's like, we don't actually want Portland to grow, right?
yeah, for sure.
Which
Yeah.
is, Portland is an amazing deal if you have a mortgage that you got years ago and your APR on it's great
Right. You have a
and you have a
2 or
job that
3%.
covers it, which is,
Yeah.
maybe it's here, maybe you're telecommuting to another state, and you get to kind of enjoy the fact that like wages here are less than in other areas.
Hmm.
You get
Hmm.
to basically ride off of that,
Hmm.
and that is a wonderful deal for that person. But I have two kids, and I see people and they're a little older than me, and their kids are going out of state because the opportunities are somewhere else.
Hmm.
When my kids are making those decisions, I want Portland to be a contender,
Right. Right.
right? And that means having opportunity here. We can grow, I think, the Portland way. We can grow green. Uh, but a lot of what ails us right now from a budget standpoint or transit cuts or,
Mm-hmm.
office vacancy issues or what we're getting from tax revenue from downtown, a lot of that can be solved with having just really good, smart growth and caring about that growth.
Right. Right. Yeah, it's kind of like I don't know. I've said on here before. I know it's not like this running a city isn't like a business, but I
Yeah.
always think of it as like sales cure all as far as that translates into more people moving here. You have a healthier tax
Yes. Yeah.
base, and the budget is healthier. It
Yeah.
supports all these things like transportation and whatever all the other needs the city has. Um,
Yeah.
so yeah, I don't know. It seems like you guys are focused on the right stuff there. I was gonna move into some of this stuff about I guess well let's talk about the budget first, I guess.
Yeah.
Since we're kind of in that zone. Like I've heard from a lot of people that, this next year's budget is gonna be even more difficult than last year
hmm
for a number of different reasons. But it's just kind of like I don't know like how anyone tackles that. It's such a challenging problem to like deliver all these services when the budget is kind of shrinking and like for all the reasons we just mentioned of tax compression
hmm
for whether they're just commercial properties or businesses. I'm just curious, like, how do you? Because I wrote on here, I was really impressed with last year's budget, and it just seemed like a really balanced, appropriate, reasonable approach to the available money that we have.
hmm
But like going forward to next year, how do you tackle that? How do you approach that? It just seems overwhelming sometimes.
Yeah, yeah, absolutely. There's some elements which are, but you spend enough months on something, you just take it piece by piece, right? The approach to last year was a couple things. One was like having a really, really strong set of core values, right? We were going to prioritize public safety,
Hmm.
sustainability, quality, and an action-oriented mindset, like a bias to action.
Hmm.
So we would run decisions through all of those. And I'm talking about also public safety kind of writ large here too. We're not isolating this to a single idea like law enforcement. This is
Right.
this
It's
is
not just
every
Portland Police
aspect.
Bureau, it's fire
Ex
bureau,
mhm.
street response, anything that could,
Yeah, anything that has to do with that, like
yeah.
public safety, livability, and
Mhm.
and so forth. So, um, everybody is going to have to go through some cut exercises where we're going to have to really, really look at what does a small cut look like, what does a big cut look like, and as part of that, it's you can't just say like hey we're gonna close the park that you love most
Right.
as
Because people love that. No.
yeah as a wall against cuts or whatnot. Not
Yeah.
to kind of focus on parks. That's just as an example. That
Right.
is
Right.
for everybody, but to really have a thoughtful look at what is the core mission of that bureau and where can we most sustainably cut in this environment too.
Yeah.
So we're going to put forward our vision on what that looks like. I'm sure that there's going to be a level of public debate to it.
Mm-hmm.
What I appreciate is that it's a very public process.
Mm-hmm.
So people, I think, are going to have a very clear idea of what that vision is and how they can contribute and get involved to make their voices heard
Yeah.
as part of that. So it's,
Yeah.
it's going to be a cut budget is always going to be more difficult.
Right. And that's kind of just that's what I've seen over the years is when you have this kind of situation, it's like you said, you just have to have a universal approach of so you're not picking on one
Yeah,
bureau or whatever. You just
yeah,
have to say everyone has to look at where we can reduce cost and
yeah. But then make those decisions on a really thoughtful, individualized basis. Like
right.
not every cut is the same. You can't just say, hey, X% from everybody, and we're just going to do that.
Mm-hmm.
It's because that creates that's just not possible to do in a way that represents good governance.
Yeah. Depending on the focus and the needs of the city at the time, that's just
Exactly.
hard to
Yeah.
do. Yeah.
Yeah.
Um, okay. Yeah, I was gonna say too, I don't know how much people know. I did, I've done budget episodes in the past, but I was gonna say like last year there was a lot of criticism because everyone was new. There wasn't a lot of time to like put a lot of thought into the process or the public involvement, but it seems like this year there's a lot more thought put in that. There's time to do that. So,
Yeah, no, I mean our community engagement folks last year did a masterful job. The scale of like town halls and engagement that they're able to put together
yeah,
on
yeah.
really short notice
There
was really impressive.
I would
But
say, I remember that one town hall, I forget, it was at a high school, I think.
yeah,
So there was a decent amount of public involvement, but
yeah,
I think people were just kind of like, everyone was trying to like adapt to this new
yes,
structure, and
absolutely.
that's hard to also do a budget when that's going on. So,
On top of that, a budget that ended up being a lot harder than the budget we were thought we were going to go into.
right, right.
Also,
As far as
yeah,
the size and
yeah,
yeah,
and the type of cuts that we would need to make.
yeah,
So it was, I don't know, considering it was kind of a perfect storm. I think that I'm pretty proud of how everybody came together on that.
yeah. Um, yeah, I've said before on the show too, I thought it was a balanced budget, and it seemed like it stayed intact, and people,
Hmm.
even through the government process, it was approved for the most part. There was
Yeah,
some minor changes here and there, but so it seemed like most people were happy with it. And the one thing I was going to say is, like, I've mentioned it before on the show, but if people don't know, Oregon has I always forget, it's a July deadline for
hmm,
all governments to have their budget approved, and maybe something else. I forget. It's just got to be approved by the
yeah,
local municipality, right?
yeah.
That's
It's
kind of
this
the
is non-optional
Yeah,
as
it's a
far as
state
things.
requirement.
Yeah,
Yeah. So if people don't
yeah,
know, that's why the budget season always happens kind of
hmm,
around May or sometime in
yeah,
there. It depends on where you live, but so that's why it's coming up. Let's see here. I had some other questions about, kind of like we just mentioned, the new structure of this stuff. Let me see. I'm losing my spot in my notes here. So yeah, I heard this week during the city council president vote, which is still ongoing at this point of recording, Steve Novick had brought up this. He said that like he doesn't really hear from the mayor's office that much aside from the homelessness stuff, which was kind of surprising to me because I feel like I've seen from the meetings I've seen, Keith and the old city administrator Mike Jordan were there quite a bit.
hmm,
So I don't know where that was coming from him, but um, I'm just curious, like along those same lines, like what it's been like this past year as far as the executive branch working with the council. I've read the Mike Jordan kind of exit interview he did with Willamette Week and the Oregonian, and it seemed like there's this level of friction and combativeness from the council and the executive that is hard to deal with. But I'm just curious, like from your perspective, what the past year has been like from the executive sort of side of things.
yeah, yeah, absolutely. It's new to everybody,
Yeah,
ourselves included, and it's not a business, right? So it's not every bit of the background that we brought in is going to be something that translates perfectly to having these types of relationships. So I think, you know, I I get the I understand some of the sources of frustration, right? They have to make very big decisions that are very impactful in the most public possible environment,
right.
right? Under a lot of scrutiny, endless criticism that they and we all receive, right? Which
Hmm.
is all kind of baked in. So it's just
Yeah,
what this is, right?
yeah.
But
It's hard to ever get like praise for
yeah, we're not
anyone working in the city,
yeah,
really.
we're not super motivated by that, but
Yeah.
but I think that sometimes there creeps in this expectation. I mean, we live in an instantaneous information environment, right? It's
Absolutely.
just like, and if you can't find it on Google, AI will make it up,
Yeah,
right?
yeah, yeah.
But that's not the reality of a multi-billion dollar 8,000 person organization that is I call it the everything company,
Mm,
right? It's like, well, who's your customer? Well, everybody. It's, well, what do you make? It's like, well, everything. It's for everything from law enforcement to making sure that the water turns on when you
Yeah.
turn the tap, right?
Yeah. Yeah.
It's to fill in potholes. It's
Mm.
just it's everything, and everybody is your customer. So um, because of that, it's the types of information that people ask for to make these highly transparent, highly visible, highly criticized, highly impactful decisions. It takes time to put that together. Uh, these these people that put it together, they also have families, and they want to, have sick days.
Yeah.
It's just it's
They're
so
human
I think
beings. They
that
don't just work 12 hours a day and
yeah,
yeah.
and with this new system where the mayor is more on the administrative side and less on the council side, I think it can sometimes, feel like he is the representation of the fact that it takes some time to put these things together,
Mm.
or that, or any frustration he's ultimately kind of answerable to. I think that there's always going to be opportunities for improvement here.
Yeah. Yeah, no, it's interesting because I was talking to some folks the other day and just this weird kind of friction that I've heard described, like I said, from Mike Jordan in these interviews. It almost seems like no matter who was elected mayor in that position,
Hmm.
there would be this friction between the existing council and the executive because it just seems like, and this is just my opinion, but it seems like I've said this before, the city council kind of wants to do all that, even though they're supposed to be purely like a legislative
Hmm.
body. Sometimes it does seem like they want to take this sort of mayoral reins and do that as well. So, but yeah, it seems like I said a second ago, it's just like it's hard to get props from anybody because I think there's a lot of invested folks and they're all coming at it from different perspectives, and some of that's healthy, I think, but yeah, it has been interesting seeing the first year.
Yeah.
Do you think,
I mean,
yeah, is there
we're
anything
also kind of catching everybody at probably one of the most, challenging periods here too. Like
as a city?
as we talk,
Yeah.
we've had two different sessions where council president has been up for a vote, right?
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
we haven't resolved that yet. So that has a bit of a tendency to heighten everything that everybody's experiencing and then bring it to the surface. Long term is probably a really good thing that we're all kind of getting this out of our system.
Yeah.
And I'm sure that it's probably not going to happen by the time this airs on Monday, Tuesday, but, at some point we're going to have a council president.
Yeah.
I think that, walking back from maybe some of the tension or conflict points and things like that for the moment, I think that there is such opportunity to share successes and to work together in 2026 that we're going to realize that the meat of really accomplishing things is going to sustain us a lot more than maybe a quick sugar high of
Mm,
having the snarky comment that gets some coverage,
right.
right? It's I think that the shelf life of anger and accusation is so short
Hmm.
compared to the power of being able to say, I worked with these people on this, and this is what we accomplished together.
Yeah. Well, I was thinking it definitely seems like, especially when, election time rolls around, it's a lot better and easier to say, hey, we spent this whole year accomplishing XYZ instead of just pointing at these little
Yeah,
spats or whatever,
absolutely.
happen.
And running for reelection, what do you want? What do you want to say, right? It's like, do you want to try to like hunt and pick through the last year or two and try to see what you can stretch out, or do you want to like really do some impactful stuff
Yeah.
while you're here, right?
And if you do that, it seems like the work kind of speaks for itself if you
Yeah.
look around the city and see what's been accomplished. Yeah, there was a couple things in this same thing. I've talked a lot about this recently. Is it weird for you or anyone on the mayor's team to work? And I'm only asking this because I've never seen anything like it, and I've worked in a couple different government situations, and I've also worked for the press. But is it weird to work in? It seems like what I would describe as a hyper partisan environment as far as the council, um, and I've talked about it extensively in the past few episodes. There's this OGEC investigation going on at a half the council, which I would tie to the reasoning I just explained. Like there's a real hyper partisan part of that body.
Hmm.
Is that strange to you to see that in a local government? Is that hard to work with? Um,
Yeah, look, I mean, just to be very blunt,
yeah,
most of my job has more to do with working with members of the public
yeah,
and a little bit less to do with council relations. I don't have a whole lot to compare this to, right? It's like I
right.
haven't worked for other governments or
Yeah,
anything like that.
yeah,
I do, you know, kind of if you shrink back a little bit and really look at this, it's like, come on, like we're all progressive Democrats here, right?
yeah, yeah. And I'm more
So,
talking, yeah, like
like
that.
take Mary Wilson, right?
Yeah,
Ran a B Corp in the trucking industry.
right,
You know
right.
the amount of personal and actual capital he had to put on the line to have a progressive trucking company,
Yeah.
right? You,
No,
you
yeah,
know,
I totally get it. Because
so
when he was here last time before we recorded, I
yeah,
was like bringing up all these like diesel brand trucks that I
yeah,
love, like Peterbilt and all this stuff. And he knew all of them, but he's like, we're doing this whole new
yeah,
electric thing. But that is traditionally in the trucking world, it's very old school, as you would say.
yeah,
They don't really like
yeah,
the new electric stuff as
with
much. And
razor margins in
yeah,
an
yeah,
industry like that,
right,
in an industry that is always the first to feel a recession and the most sharply, right?
right, right.
It's he's out there making sure that he's got AI to keep his drivers the
Yeah,
safest of anybody on the road,
yeah.
and working with renewable diesel and battery power and things like that.
Hmm.
So
Yeah,
it is a little funny to see him sometimes portrayed as I see these folks labeled as like the conservative part of local
the
government. It's
city,
like,
or
get
yeah,
out of
which is,
here.
yeah, I agree, it's completely ridiculous. I get more,
Uh,
what I was talking about was like, because I've seen this in the past year of
yeah.
like the mayor aligning with the governor and a lot of other folks on certain issues, and
Mhm.
then the DSA body of the council is in a very different direction. And I always attribute it, it's kind of like what you see in New York right now with the new
Yeah.
mayor there. There's kind of this split among progressives.
Mhm.
So it's hard. That's what I'm kind of curious about. And I've just never seen in a municipal body folks that are so tied to a party that's not. And that's what I mean. I'm not talking about Democrat or Republican. It's just like even a different party, which, I've said in past episodes, shouldn't be part of politics in the local government.
Yeah.
It's in our city charter. So it just seems like that's a tough thing to deal with when you have sort of an organized party within the city that is, I
Yeah.
don't know.
Look, I hear you. I hear that. Like, so some of my job is to be just a touch of a contrarian, right? It's
Yeah, yeah,
just so, like, put yourself in DSA shoes for a moment here. It's they are having a legitimate moment
yeah,
here.
yeah.
New York City mayor, mayor of Seattle is closely aligned, and the underlying worldview that they have is something which like their priorities and what they're putting out there and how they're organizing are completely consistent with what they deeply believe at
Hmm.
a genuine level. I don't think that there's any daylight between, what the just their absolute most closely held beliefs and how they're showing up to
Hmm.
these
Hmm.
things. And you can't say that they're not having, a moment here,
Yeah, no,
right?
I
So,
I agree. I always tell people too, I
um,
think Portland was at the forefront of that even before New
absolutely,
York,
yeah.
because all these folks got elected in the city. So,
Yeah,
yeah.
I mean, it's our worldview is not exactly the same,
Hmm.
and we hope that there's opportunities for our DSA folks to look at what we're doing and see that it's something that is probably at some level aligned with what they
Yeah.
believe and
Some
join us and
overlap.
frankly take credit for it, right?
Yeah, yeah.
It's like there's enough of that to go around.
Right, right.
So we're 1 year in. I think that there's plenty of time to figure out some of these relationships.
Okay. Yeah. No, that's exactly what I was wondering, is how that's going. Yeah, is there anything you want to say about it's kind of the last question I have in this sort of
Yeah.
area, but the council election this year and also the county chair election. Is there anything you want to say about that? I mean, not to like, I'm not asking for like endorsements or anything, but just like, you see that as like an opportunity in any sense with the county or the city to kind of
Yeah.
improve anything, or I don't know.
Oh, absolutely. I mean,
Yeah,
there's always going to be I mean, it's a huge opportunity to, create new relationships and more alignment and work together better on things. And
yeah,
but ultimately, whoever wins, we're really going to do everything we can do to make them successful and to work with them as close as we can.
yeah. Does it also feel maybe like I've just always thought that I understand in one sense this 2 year kind of cycle we're in now with the city council, but does it feel kind of hard, like you've spent all this time trying to build relationships with these folks, and
Hmm.
now some of them are up for reelection again? So does that feel like a weird wrench kind of thrown in there?
Gosh,
I mean, who knows what will happen with it, but
it just rains wrenches.
yeah,
So
right.
this is just one more wrench. It's
Yeah, yeah.
well, we'll navigate this like we do everything else. Yeah.
Okay. Um, all right. Is there anything else you want to say about political stuff? Otherwise, we're gonna move into kind of your Northwest story and a little bit about you.
Yeah, no, absolutely.
Anything policy wise, I guess.
Yeah, it's I think one of my big hopes for this coming year is as we continue to improve these systems that we've set up, like I'm really hoping that there's chances for the larger community to just get more and more involved and aware,
Mm-hmm.
right? It's to a certain extent, especially in the first 6 months of Mayor Wilson's time, it was there was a little bit of like wait and see from a lot of the public. It's like he promised this, it's his thing, he's gonna do it. Let's kind of wait and see what
Mm-hmm.
happens.
Mm-hmm.
I think that it's like we're hitting a point. It's like, hey, it's time to get off the sidelines. Like if you're ready to go from one shop to two shops, let's do that. Like if you're ready to scale up your workforce, let's do that. It's time. It's like if you're ready to activate a vacant storefront, like we
Mm.
want to make all of the surrounding environment that you're in something that's going to help make that a successful thing for you. If you've been sitting on a permit, let's get some shovels in the ground,
Mm-hmm.
right?
Mm-hmm.
And I think that's kind of everybody, right? That's not just our office doing what we can, but it's like, okay, it's time.
Yeah. I don't know why you just made me think of this, but is it because the whole idea with this new charter was like to kind of address this like bureau issue. Do you find that working with the bureaus, and I know you, I keep asking you these questions. I know you saying you're dealing more with constituents, but does it seem like a healthier system as far as working with them, and how the mayor works with them and that type of thing?
Yeah, yeah, I work a lot with the bureaus. This is one of my absolute favorite parts of the job.
Okay, good.
So what Mayor Wilson did was he kind of copied what Bloomberg did in New York, and he brought everybody into the same office. So all of the bureau heads work directly in the same
Oh, wow.
like wing as we do in City Hall.
Okay. It's like a central command of all the bureaus kind of thing.
Yeah, yeah. I mean, they're busy. They're constantly out in the field, take meetings and things like that too. But there's just like this level of organic collaboration.
Sure, yeah.
He brought all 700 managers back to the office full time.
Right.
He took some grief
He took
for
a lot
that,
of heat for that, yeah.
but
Yeah.
what we see based on that is like, hey, if you're a more junior manager, the amount of face time that you now get with leadership is so much higher, right? And all of your counterparts are all there too.
Mm-hmm.
So there's just like this level of energy. I love the fact that in our office, despite having a tiny team, you got to kind of turn your shoulders sideways to get down the hall sometime
Mm.
because it's like people are walking and talking and collaborating, and it's just like there's a level of energy
Yeah.
there, which is it's just fun to be around.
Yeah, no, that is cool to hear because
Yeah,
that's, I don't know. I was gonna bring up siloing and so, but that seems like the complete opposite of what you want with siloing, and
exactly.
everyone's right there
Yeah,
together and
yeah. I mean,
literally facing each other. Whatever, yeah.
it just translates to big and little things, right?
Hmm.
So for instance, if we're gonna have a marathon downtown,
Hmm.
right? It's let's make sure that everything from like trash cleanup to to traffic enforcement to like anything that
Yeah.
has a relation to this thing that is happening.
So you're talking to
We're all working on
P-Bot,
this on the same thing together,
yeah, you're
right? It's
talking
like,
to the police, you're talking to P-Bot, everyone who would help with that event, and yeah.
yeah, it's like if you're going to be out there anyway, do it in a way that's going to make other bureaus successful with what they're trying to accomplish,
Hmm.
and to make this larger thing that we're trying to do something that really works.
Great. Yeah, no, that sounds great. And I was gonna quickly ask you, like, what, because I, I probably should have watched some of the recent meetings, but what's it like working with the new city administrator?
Oh, great. I mean,
Yeah,
he's been here for about I
it's like a
think two
month or
weeks.
okay, yeah,
Yeah, so but it's really exciting to get that level of experience, new perspective.
yeah,
And I think he's kind of in that mode where he's meeting and listening,
just kind of
which
taking
is
everything in. Yeah,
yeah, I think it's a kind of classic leadership style where it's like even if you have a lot to offer, which he really does,
yeah,
that first kind of space is all about like listening.
yeah, yeah. And I thought it was great that I wasn't too tuned into that, but I was just like, I totally embrace having someone with a fresh perspective coming in and
Yeah,
saying like, here's what it looks like to me, coming in with fresh eyes, like what this looks like, and so that's great to hear. Um, yeah, tell me about your Northwest story. Did you grow up here? Did you move here?
yeah. I grew
Yeah.
up in the Palouse, south of Spokane.
Okay.
Yeah,
I've never even heard of that, but I've heard of
yeah.
Spokane. I don't know. What is that? Is that a town or something?
Yeah, rolling hills, wheat fields.
Oh wow, wow.
It's really beautiful out there. Yeah, so that's where I grew up. I've been kind of all over the place since college in Bellingham, and then lived in Florida, Arizona, DC. But I've been here since for about 12 years now.
Okay, okay. It's a decent amount of time.
Yeah,
Yeah, and did you do? I have your book here too. I'll shout that out. But
yeah.
weren't you like a kind of world traveler? Was that involved with your boating at some point
Yeah,
or?
kind of, not really like recreationally though. It's
Okay.
right out of college, I got a job on a as the assistant to an archaeologist on a deep sea treasure salvage
Oh,
operation.
this okay.
Yeah,
I vaguely remember this when we
yeah.
first started emailing. I was like looking up some of your stuff, and that's amazing.
Yeah, it was a Civil War era sidewheel steamer, lost right after the war. It was bringing payroll down to help rebuild the South.
Wow.
But we were pulling up so much gold and silver off that thing that
Really?
at one point I was in a locked room with two other guys for 14 straight hours, just counting one coin after another as they came off the recovery
Jeez.
system. Yeah, it was
That's crazy.
yeah,
I didn't even know, like, I don't know. I've heard about some of this like shipwreck stuff, but I didn't even know stuff like that was still like discovered, and that's wild, yeah.
yeah,
But that
yeah.
was like a chartered mission to find
hmm
that like, from a company or something.
Yeah, I worked with a private company that did operations like that
Wow.
for, so I had a whole career on it for a number of years. I was a historical researcher. I would develop target packages on
So
what
you
we should go after.
figure out, yeah, what's a good thing to go after.
Absolutely. So I helped us find, World War II treasure ships. Uh, Probably my favorite find was off of Boston. It was a ocean liner off Boston was lost in the 1850s.
Wow. And a
Yeah,
liner's a gigantic boat, right?
massive.
Yeah.
Yeah, it was the
Like
second largest of its time. Lost on a
hundreds of
second
people.
voyage too.
Okay. Yeah, I went through a rabbit hole once where I was learning all about that. I think I watched Titanic again and I was
Yeah,
learning about all these liners, and it just fascinated me because it was a time when that was like the extremely popular form of travel. There was
yeah.
obviously not really air travel, and it was, I think, affordable probably for, they had different classes kind of in the boats, and it's just really interesting to learn about. And yeah, there was a lot of safety issues obviously back then,
Oh
right?
yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, no, there really were. It's yeah, so I worked in that industry for a long time. I've been on a Titanic expedition.
Really? Okay.
Yeah, so from the movie, like the big ship in the very beginning, the big white ship
Right,
and the
right.
two little subs, those are all real.
Okay.
Yeah, those are the crew in the background of that movie was the actual crew.
Hmm. I know James
So
Cameron's way into that
yeah,
stuff, so that makes sense that they'd be a real
yeah.
part of that. So were you always into that? How did you get into Maritime, is that like
Yeah,
maritime stuff? Or?
yeah, absolutely. I kind of grew up with it. In the 90s, my dad got involved with a project to find a sunken Japanese treasure ship from World War II.
Okay.
At that time, like Germany, Japan had this kind of cash and carry arrangement, raw materials from Japan and that
Mm.
kind of sphere for German tech.
So there's like these established lines that they would
Hmm.
deliver stuff or whatever. Okay.
Yeah,
Interesting.
all the overland routes ended early, surface travel pretty shortly after that. And so the only way to get this stuff back and forth was submarines.
Okay.
So it was like it wasn't just that, it was like Enigma machines and technicians, and they were trying to
Sure.
trade that kind of stuff. But
All the valuable kind of secretive wartime stuff that you would do, I guess. Yeah.
yeah, so
Wow.
it's yeah, that sank. Um, and back in World War II, he was part of an operation to go after it. They found it. They weren't able to actually access anything on the inside,
Mm.
but that led to his involvement in some other companies that did this kind of work. And I found my niche pretty early on in the research side. So I got to travel to a lot of different countries, a lot of different archives, and basically just do in-depth research, develop these target packages on the different types of ships that we would try to find.
Wow. That's just like probably one of the coolest jobs I've ever heard of. That's awesome.
I gotta be honest, I like what I do now a lot more.
Really? Yeah.
So it's one of those things. It sounds wonderful on paper. The day to day of it is actually
Yeah.
it's like
Yeah.
you can't do it forever.
Right,
It's like
right.
it's not the kind of thing you can have a family,
Yeah.
and
So you're kind of traveling all the time, I'd imagine.
yeah, and it's just really it's really kind of insecure too. It's like job to job.
Feast or famine kind of thing.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And a lot more famine than feast,
Yeah.
to be
Well, I
honest.
was gonna say it
But
does seem fun, especially if it was like, I guess as like I don't know if it's hourly or salary, however that works. But if it was like your own thing and you didn't have to worry about money and
yeah.
you're just looking for treasure, that would be awesome. But if it's just like a more of a job where it's hourly billed or whatever, that does seem
Hmm.
like that'd be slightly different. So I understand what you're saying, I guess.
Yeah, no, absolutely. I mean, I love and I still love the underlying subject matter. It's what's really fascinating about it, and this actually kind of pertains to my current job to a certain extent, is at the end of the day, a lot of the research side of it is the in-depth study of behavior under stress.
Hmm. Hmm.
Because as you're piecing together the final moments of a lost ship, you experience all of the different things that someone went through during that process.
Hmm.
It's like
Hmm.
time dilation, where it's like an hour can feel like a minute,
Right.
or people get these kind of like these cognitive blinders on, where all they can see is the problem that's right in front of them, even if it's immaterial to what's
Hmm.
actually happening, to their larger situation.
Right. Right.
It's just like it's fixation on a certain thing, and how people report back or remember these things that happened to them. Right? It's almost kind of like solving a 200-year-old crime mystery,
Yeah.
oftentimes.
Yeah. Because yeah,
So
I would imagine it's kind of piecing together through survivors if there were, and
yeah,
then also any physical evidence and trying to piece together like what happened, and
yeah.
that's fascinating. Yeah.
It's also like lessons in leadership too, which is the most fascinating part to me, because I've studied incidents where every single person should have lived
Hmm.
and almost everybody died.
Right. Right.
But the flip side of that is also true. I've studied ones where, like, by all rights, 95% of people on that ship should have died. But because of good leadership, that was calm and coordinated and action
Right.
oriented, it's
Right.
like they were able to save hundreds of lives.
Yeah. No, that is really
Yeah.
interesting. Yeah, to see that contrast of like, here's one that turned out really well, and here's one that
Yeah.
absolutely did not, and
Now
just
there's
timing and
lessons.
all the decision making involved in that. And
Hmm.
yeah.
So
Um. So and then I was gonna say, how did you go from that to political work, and was this kind of in between this book
yeah,
that you
this
wrote?
was
Yeah.
yeah, this was written in published in 2018, so it's been out for quite some time. I came to the political side totally unrelated. It was
Yeah.
So Mayor Wilson was launching his campaign in Charles Jordan Community Center up in the north side,
Okay.
relatively near where I live.
Yeah.
And I'd heard about this guy through Bike Portland. He's somebody that, like, it's like, hey, truckers love this guy. Bicyclists love this guy too.
Mm,
Like, what is going on here? Because there's such this tendency in Portland to have like your constituency. We ride or die on this one
right.
without the ability to kind of really bring people together, especially people that have very different priorities and experiences, and getting into that same
Yeah.
room.
So you were just kind of like, who is this person that's
Yeah,
bridging that divide? Yeah.
exactly. So I showed up in the back of his speech with a 3-year-old on my hip, and who I let just destroy the craft services table. And I'm listening to him, and it's like all of a sudden it's like that aha moment. It's like, hey, here's somebody who is just naming what is going on.
Mm,
Like, we're not going to talk in all of these endless kind of political aphorisms about everything. We're going to go right to the heart of what is happening in our city, right? A city that has, to a certain extent, endured like a 5-year mass trauma event at that point, right?
yeah.
Where
Yeah.
where it's just, deeply, deeply traumatic experiences one after another that the city as a whole had not really recovered from. My neighborhood included.
Yeah.
There was a number of shootings in mine, and a lot of deaths.
Mm,
My wife's car, we had to have a cop pry a bullet out of it.
wow.
She was in it with my other kid at the time,
Really?
who was in the car seat. On my running route next to my gym, it's like, past 2 different memorials, flowers and candles, all that stuff, because people have been killed there.
Wow.
Um, so I was looking to kind of get more involved. Like, I'm at this speech, I'm hearing him just say things that are so simple, make sense. I fill out a volunteer form, and I meet his campaign director shortly after that. I offered to write a couple of emails. That was the extent of my involvement.
Mm.
Campaign director gives me a big stack of essentially research that they have done,
Mm,
that Mayor Wilson had done over many years on homelessness and environmental causes, and other kind of similar related issues. The campaign director asked me, it's like, hey, can you turn this into a copy for a website? So I think I spent the next like 10 to 12 hours just completely. I have a very hard time dropping something once I start.
okay. You just dove into that, and yeah.
Cannot be trusted around jigsaw puzzles because I'll
You gotta do
forget
the
I'll
whole
forget to
thing.
eat.
Yeah.
But so so it's like, okay, how do I turn years of research into short messages?
Right.
Like, it's like that are very clear,
Yeah.
and people understand instantly what we're trying to accomplish. Uh, Soon after that, I'm like, hey, it's like, you guys are burning a lot of time writing a campaign email, right? And it's a lot of coordination through text messaging inboxes and stuff
Mm-hmm.
like that. So it's like,
Mm-hmm.
okay, let me just do this one thing for you. I'm gonna help you get set up with your shared drive, show you how to use it. We're gonna use a messaging system that organizes everything into threads so we can coordinate on different projects. We're gonna stop using email for
Right.
this. And with your fundraising emails, I'm going to write you a month at a time. So we have an arc to everything.
Right.
Everybody knows what's coming, and you can just approve everything all at once, and then we can just load it and send it when the
Mm,
times come. So you're not just
mm,
burning all of this time that you don't have.
right. Right.
And not long after, I'm started to get kind of roped into all the meetings, which is not what I'd planned on. And it hit a point where it's like, we have to call you something, right? Because
Right.
you're doing all of these
Some
different
kind of
things.
title. Yeah.
So I'm like, gosh, okay. So, like, okay, can I be campaign communications director, but with one condition? And I said that condition is continue to look for a communications director with actual qualifications and fire me when you find that person.
Oh wow. Okay.
Like, don't spare my feelings.
Yeah.
We don't have time for it. I will continue to support, but like, I need you to find that person. I need you to fire me. And
It's an unusual request, but yeah.
well, I wanted him to be successful,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah.
Ultimately.
Right.
And
You kind of had, I don't know if you'd call it imposter syndrome or
oh,
something like that.
absolutely.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I'd never done this before. I mean,
Yeah.
there's people far more qualified than me. They've worked on a campaign before.
Yeah.
So, but I took him from polling at 4% to winning by almost 20.
Yeah.
And yeah, and even then, I thought like, hey, you're gonna have access to all these super talented people. Go forth, do good. Let's grab a beer once in a while. But the calls didn't stop coming, so I ended up completely changing my career
Mm.
and following him into the mayor's office.
Well, that's a really interesting story. Because yeah, like when I first started emailing with you or whatever, I was just that's kind of the improv. I was like, how does this guy go from this to this? And
Yeah,
but that makes sense. And I think a lot of times in politics, that's a good thing to have not only the outside perspective, but it brings a different energy. And I think a lot of times the public and constituents, especially, they'll interact with the government at a local level and just have this folks that are entirely focused on process, and
mm,
that just
hmm,
reads from them, like even just talking to them in person. And so I think what you bring is definitely a different type of energy. It's a little more accessible and a little more kind of reasonable and friendly to people, and
I
probably understandable from a
yeah,
campaign level too.
I really hope so.
Yeah.
It's like I care a lot about identifying with the people that I'm working with, right?
Hmm. Hmm.
It's like I want them to feel like I understand what their experience is. In a lot of cases, I do because I've done the type of work that they've done. I've had a lot of different careers and a lot of different experiences, and worked in different, more service oriented where I would help with the types of jobs or businesses that they would have.
Yeah.
So I think that helps create kind of a common language and
Yeah.
not, and just brings down some of those walls between like, I need something from local government, but I
Right.
don't know who to talk to or what to do or what to say.
Yeah, I think that's what I was
Yeah.
kind of getting at. Yeah, that sometimes people in the public feel like there's this whole gate kept section of government. And I think
Yeah.
folks like you kind of break those down to be like, hey, we're all kind of the same people here. There's no
Yeah.
special individual that's going to make all the decisions. You can just come talk to us and we'll figure something out.
Absolutely.
So,
It's kind of a cliche, but I'm always saying like, hey, it's like, I don't want to have like face to face conversations. I want to have shoulder to shoulder conversations.
mm,
So it's like where we're pointing in the same direction, and we have our eyes on the same thing that we're trying to accomplish.
yeah. No, that's great. That's a really cool story too. I was going to say, do you want to, you don't have to if it's okay, but do you want to say, because you said you had a lot of interesting jobs, and it sounds like
Yeah.
this stuff. Did you have a worst one that was like that you
Oh
want to mention?
gosh.
It's okay if you don't too.
Yeah. What was the worst job? I don't know. I feel like I've been pretty lucky with. I found something I really love. It comes down to the people,
Hmm.
right? Like I've done everything from like preschool childcare to running land cables to financial sector to writing books to working with deep sea robotics, and
Yeah,
I'm
yeah.
I'm probably missing a half dozen things, but like the people in the culture wherever you work can make or break. You
Hmm.
can be working like maybe not the best job, but if you just really feel supported by the people around you, and you know that's wonderful. And you can also have amazing jobs like where you're working with jerks,
Yeah, yeah,
or narcissists, and it can turn into something that should be awesome into something miserable.
yeah. No, I totally agree. Yeah, the chemistry among wherever you're working can be drastically different
Yeah.
depending on who you're working with. Yeah. Is there anything else you want to say about the Northwest before I get into these goofy questions?
Yeah. Oh
You moved here,
gosh.
you said 12 years ago or something.
Yeah, yeah. I've never lived anywhere like Portland.
Yeah,
It's like we know all of our neighbors. We love them. We basically co-parent with them.
yeah, yeah.
And to be able to like bike to work and walk to a grocery store, and to live with people that by and large share my values on the environment,
Hmm.
and what the world should be like, and how we should treat each other, it's like I will never willingly live somewhere else.
Yeah, all right. Um, okay, let's see. And do you do that? You bike to work usually?
When I can, I try to do at least 3 days a week,
Okay.
but
Wow, wow.
it is January.
I know, I'd
So
say this time of year, I understand people
yeah,
who don't want to get out in the like literally freezing
yeah,
rain or whatever's going on, but
yeah. I'll do dark, I'll do rain, but I won't do both because I don't want to get hit.
yeah,
So
yeah. Yeah, it's I
yeah.
don't know, I've talked to a lot of people this year, even like this atmospheric river thing that happened a couple weeks ago. even in cars, I'm like, when anyone's in there and your wipers are at max speed and it's dark and you still can't see, you probably should not be
Yeah.
driving out there.
No, not fun.
Um, okay, let's see. Do you like Doritos?
I'm not big on Doritos, but like New Season's tortilla chips, I will destroy an
Kind of the
entire
same.
bag
Okay.
of one of
Just the
those.
regular tortilla
Yeah.
flavor? Okay.
Yeah.
Um, do you like crunchy or smooth peanut butter? Or
Oh,
maybe,
crunchy.
okay.
Yeah, definitely.
Do you like the oil kind?
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah. I
That
mean,
I guess you'd call that the traditional peanut
yeah.
butter or the natural peanut butter, maybe. Yeah.
Yeah, it can be a little messy, but
Okay. What about, is that in your family? Is that contentious, or everyone kind of likes that same kind?
I think the grown-ups like the crunchy, the kids are, not
They like
ready
the
for that
Jif
yet.
or whatever,
Yeah.
that kind of stuff. Okay. Um, do you have an animal or creature you're most afraid of?
Oh, yeah, absolutely. So, I don't mind snakes, I don't mind spiders, but scorpions, for some reason, I used to live in the Southwest,
Hmm.
uh, freak me out. I found one in the house at one point. It was not big. This is maybe horrible to animal lovers. I used an entire chair to kill it.
Okay. Trying to
And
picture
then
that. Yeah.
and then I looked up like what it was, and like right there it was like they always travel in pairs.
Oh, really?
So it's
Okay.
like there's one out there and I just killed its wife.
And there, but now you're thinking about the
So
other one.
yeah, and
Yeah.
where's the other one?
Yeah.
When I moved out like 9 months later, I did find the other one.
Oh, okay.
It had passed
Okay.
underneath one of the waste baskets, probably from grief,
Wow.
but I did
I
find
didn't
it.
know that. Yeah,
Uh,
it's like the buddy system or something. They're traveling around.
yeah.
Have you ever been, what do you call it, stung by one? Or
No,
I'm
I've never had a bad experience with one
okay, okay.
ever. I
I've never either,
just
but I've same like most people. I'm terrified of that. I'm not. I don't even
yeah.
think I've seen one aside from like a zoo or something where they have it in a little
It's just that
cage. But
stinger that they've got out, and they
yeah,
just kind of
yeah,
come at you. It's
yeah.
yeah.
Um, this is way off topic too, but when you're talking earlier about the treasure hunting and stuff, I've been playing the new Indiana Jones game, which is really good.
Oh, I've heard like Golden Circle. So I've
Yeah,
heard it's great.
yeah. The voice
Yeah.
actors like sounds exactly like Harrison Ford, but there's parts in there where there's like tons of scorpions coming at you, and so that made me think of that. But let's see here. Do you have a favorite type of French fry? Do you like crinkle cut, regular cut, curly fries? Maybe you don't like French fries.
Yeah, no, just the really thin cut
Okay.
regular ones.
I think they call it
Yeah.
shoestring, right?
Shoestring. Yeah.
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 Okay. Um, do you like sushi?
Oh, very much.
Okay. Do you
Yeah.
have a favorite sushi roll?
This is I mean super basic. It's just the rainbow roll or anything with like just tuna and avocado in it. I'm a fan.
Those are good, yeah.
Yeah.
Um, do you want to, whenever I ask this, I just laugh, but do you want to put out some nut rankings? Do you like, these change for me sometimes, but
Yeah.
I always like, pistachios is almost always the top one for
Ooh.
me.
Uh-huh.
But there's a lot of good ones. I don't know, hazelnuts are kind of an Oregon thing that gets brought up a lot.
Yeah.
Is there any you want to throw out there?
Cashews.
Cashews, okay.
Yeah. I have some almost every day. It's like the perfect snack food too on the
Yeah.
on the go.
Get some good sustainable energy from that thing.
Yeah.
Let's see here. Do you have any pet peeves that just drive you crazy?
Oh, probably way too many. Pet peeves that drive me crazy.
I think of them all the time
You
too, but
know, I don't like sarcasm.
hmm.
For I probably was younger, pretty
Yeah,
sarcastic about a lot
yeah,
of things, but it's I mean there's some very 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 funny sarcastic people, but it's you know yeah, it just feels like exhausting past a certain point,
yeah.
right? It's
Well,
like
as I say, I can see in everyday life. It's one thing if you're like a comedian or something, but
yeah,
in everyday life, as a communicator, at some point, it just say what you're talking about. Is that kind of
yeah.
what you're
Like,
what you
yeah,
need, or like
and I've noticed sometimes, like, it's something will happen, and a few people glance at me. They expect kind of like that, the off the cuff remark or
reaction?
the joke or something like that, and
Yeah.
I'll say it, and it's like, wait a minute, I don't actually feel very good
Mm,
after saying that.
yeah.
Like, was that a missed opportunity to say something kind of constructive instead?
Right,
Right.
right.
So,
Yeah.
so we'll call it
Okay.
maybe a 2026 goal.
I like
Just,
that. I like
yeah.
that. Maybe I'll do a real rapid fire of like all the. I bring up a lot of things that foods that are divisive and people don't usually like them, but I like them. Let's see, candy corn. Do you like candy corn?
Oh, yes, very
Okay,
much.
that's a good
Yeah.
one. Yeah. It's hard to find people that like that.
Yeah.
Uh, Another one is eggnog. That we kind of just went through that.
Love it,
Okay.
especially with a little whiskey in it. It's,
Okay. Yeah, I always say with or without alcohol. I like
yeah.
eggnog. Trying to think of a third one. Those are my usual two.
I think pineapple on pizza is the other really
That's
controversial one.
yeah.
I love that too.
Okay.
It's, so,
That's one I'm
yeah.
not. I don't say that I'm totally against it. I'll eat it, but it's not my
Yeah.
preferred thing. Do you? I just want to give people a chance. Do you have a good meal somewhere recently, or just a business? Doesn't have to be a restaurant, but a
Yeah.
local business or something you want to shout out.
Yeah. I really hope I'm not getting the name wrong on this because I'm gonna actually switch it. Super Burrito on Lombard, North Portland.
Okay.
It's not only the people there wonderful. It is my favorite burrito in all of Portland.
Okay. Okay.
It's I'm not allowed to go there as often as I'd like to,
Is it a cart
but
or is it a restaurant?
that's a restaurant.
Okay.
Yeah, it's just kind of at the end of Lombard and St. John's, but it is just fantastic.
Okay. That's
Yeah,
burrito in Portland, you say.
it's my favorite.
Or your favorite. Okay.
Yeah,
Yeah. Yeah.
I'm not like a food critic.
Yeah. Are they like the gigantic?
Oh yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. But like you kind of look over the counter and they're making it all fresh, like
Hmm.
right there. It's like
Hmm.
it looks like they just pulled it out of the truck, right? The different meat cuts and
Yeah.
vegetables and stuff like that. They're just slicing it all up like right there.
Mm. Okay. Sounds good. I'll put a little photo of them in here or something. Let's see. Maybe I'll do just one more here. Do you believe in alien Bigfoot or ghosts? Aliens, Bigfoot or ghosts?
Oh gosh, so Ghosts that's a really good one because it's like I feel like I don't believe in them, but they believe in me.
Yeah, right. And you've very been
So
around some crazy, shipwreck situation. I don't know how that works with ghosts underwater, but
yeah, yeah, no, yeah, it's yeah. I went to a uh, is through the underwater stuff. I ended up becoming really good friends with somebody who's worked as like an air crash investigator as a journalist. And
okay.
she's written books about it and that kind of thing. There's a bit of a nexus there between, it's the same tech that goes after shipwrecks, goes after sunken airplanes.
Okay, okay.
So we ended up meeting and becoming friends. And there is a relatively complete, I think, a 1967 passenger airliner crash in kind of like the greater Mount Hood area
Okay.
that you can hike to. She just published a piece about it in the Seattle Times.
Really? Like
Yeah,
there's still pieces of it there or something, or
big pieces.
really?
Yeah. So it's, you know, it was a little hard to get out there. It's like a lot of, 4x4 through the forest and then a lot of hiking from there. But, you know, it's it's hard to be at a site like that where, so many people passed, especially all at once, that you don't feel like a level of reverence for.
Right, right.
And just, like just careful with your footsteps, careful with what you're doing, respectful to the area
Yeah.
because of, there's a certain energy
Mm-hmm. I was
to
gonna
it,
say it's
right?
almost like being in a
Mm.
graveyard in a sense, but even more turbulent as far as like
Yeah,
because it was totally unexpected or
yeah,
accidental or whatever it was.
yeah.
And yeah.
I mean, they went through and they recovered everybody and some of the, key pieces of equipment, but most of it's still there. And
Wow.
yeah, it feels like a very, type of place that has an energy to it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay. Um, yeah, I was just saying I didn't even know that it seems like if you could get there by vehicle, they would recover all that stuff, but it's just,
Oh
is it
no,
a respect thing
no,
or
you can't get there by vehicle. It's you have to
aircraft or something?
hike in, and at the time they took a helicopter in there, and they actually lost a helicopter
Just,
during the
okay.
recovery
Wow.
operation too, in kind
Is
of like
that,
the early hours.
okay. That's not the one that rolled, is that the one that rolled? There's like famous footage of that one on Mount Hood that,
It's not. It's not that one. I
Okay,
think it
okay,
was.
okay,
Yeah, different one. There's no footage of this one.
okay.
It's.
Yeah, I
But.
know that generally around there is super treacherous, so
Mhm.
that's wild.
Yeah, it's. Yeah, there's a whole backstory to how that thing went down, but that my friend did a wonderful job in the Seattle Times writing
Okay.
it up.
Yeah, I'll put a link to that in here.
Yeah.
Cool. Yeah, I was gonna say, is there anything else you want to mention about coming up in 2026? Like, what should people, if they want to get involved or whatever, are there like key events coming up? I guess obviously the budget's coming up.
Yeah. The elections are coming up fast, so if you've got people that you care about, it's the opportunity for an individual to make a difference is just off the charts
Yeah.
right now. So definitely get involved, knock doors. Everything is a big deal when you're kind of working at that level. And then beyond that, like we are just pumped for this summer. It's going to be all kinds of just, festivals and activations. A lot of it's happening downtown, but there's things happening in every, neighborhood too on a more
Mhm.
local level. And if you've been kind of sitting out downtown for a minute, um, you're gonna start missing out.
Yeah.
So, because there's just a lot. Yeah, we're really excited for this year.
Okay. Yeah, summertime I know is always, I don't know, even before all the reputational stuff with Portland and even during it, summertime's always pretty popular here, so
Yeah.
it's exciting to see what's coming up. Yeah, and I would say if people want to get involved on any level with the city, what's the best place? Just the city website or
Yeah, absolutely. It can seem a little impenetrable at first,
yeah.
but mayor at portlandoregon.gov. We started out with a backlog, but now it's like every single message that comes in is tagged and followed up on within a couple hours.
Okay, yeah.
Oftentimes, depending on the complexity, we have to get it to the right person to answer or
Right.
whatnot. But we try to be the most responsive as we possibly can to that. So, and we track what people say and what they're writing about too very closely to help shape priorities. Beyond that, it's kind of, there's so many ways to get involved. I mean, what do you care about most, right? It's if you care about parks, there's opportunities to get involved in parks. If you care about cleanup or homelessness or really anything, it's just, you know, yeah, there's a lot of opportunities to get involved.
Yeah. Whether that's I was gonna say volunteering, or there's probably even committees that
Yeah.
or not committees, but some level of like advisory bodies that you could maybe join
Hmm.
through some of those. But yeah,
Yeah. Advisory, and those are a really big deal
yeah.
in Portland too. Advisory bodies are how we have an understanding of what's happening and what people care about.
Yeah. Yeah, and I tell people all the time, it's like easiest way to make changes that you can see is with the local
Hmm.
government bodies. So yeah, get involved in all those ways. And yeah, I don't know. Is there anything else you want to say before we wrap it up here?
Yeah. Wow. We covered a lot of ground. Now I'm
I didn't
more
even
than
ask what
anything, I'm
this was
just,
about, but
yeah.
check out the book. This is Taylor was saying if you like Michael Crichton, which I do, check out this
Yeah.
book. But yeah, I don't know.
Yeah,
Is there anything?
it's a fun one. I wrote it when I was in the early days of having my first kid.
Okay.
So if it is written by someone, if it reads like it's written by someone who is going through severe sleep issues,
Deprivation. Yeah.
that's because it was.
Okay. No, I'll definitely read it too. I would say I read every book that I get on the show, so
Yeah,
I'll
well,
check it out.
that's awesome. I look forward to hearing what you think.
Yeah. But yeah, thanks Taylor for coming by. You're always welcome back.
Hey, thanks
Want
so
to talk
much.
again? Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I appreciate that a lot.